Uh, Today I will be bringing you about the research tools. The research tools that is being used in our research. Now, before that, I will like to give the brief introduction about the research. You all being the attending, I think this is the fourth day of this FDP, and you have been attending about this research, about the various topics of the research from the last 3-4 days. So, if we introduce the research, we can say uh, to introduce, we can say that the research is a systematic way of answering the particular question. It means we have a problem and we have to find out the solution to the problem. That is the research. And in that case, we can say that the systematic investigation plus scientific investigation and in addition to that, for a detailed information or new knowledge on a specific topic, all these three things together comprise a research. Now, in other words, we can say that research is an original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge. Original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge, making for its advancement. Or we can say research is an organized and systematic way of finding answers to the questions. So this is all about the introductory part. And we can say that the major and the first step that we have to follow, there's a proper research process that we have to follow for conducting a research. We have to proceed step by step. And the initial step in every research is formulating a well-defined research problem. Now, research problem, we can say it is a question for which answer is to be found, or we can say it is a problem for which a solution is to be taken care of. We have to find out the solution for the particular problem. And on basis of this research problem, we can frame the objectives and we can design the overall research framework. Now, then second part is research design. Now, research design, we can say it is a conceptual structure within which the research is to be conducted. Now, research design is a plan or framework that guides the steps to step in execution of the research, and it comprises of we have already discussed that is a research problem, that what are the objectives of the research, what will be the population, the target population we have taken for the research, then what sample size will be there, how the sample has been selected, then what will be the hypothesis for the research, statistical text or what all statistical tests and softwares will be applying, what will be the level of significance, and what are the variables. That is the most important part, and what are the variables. Now, there are different type of variables, that is independent, dependent, control variables, mediating variables, all and moderating variables, and all these variables should be clearly defined. So this is the one part. So that is the research design. Now, we have all, there are different types of research. Like, for example, the descriptive the research can be experimental, it can exploratory. It is just a three types we are discussing. Means research is of number of types, but the descriptive is a basic research that when we are describing just the state of affairs, means we have witnessed a particular event and we are just describing it, and we do not have any control over the variables. There is no control of the variables. Then comes the experimental research, that when the particular experiment is being conducted in any particular lab, maybe in agriculture lab, medical lab, or in the just life sciences lab, an experiment has been conducted, and the researcher do the experiment and record all the readings which we have noticed during the course of his experimentation. Then exploratory. Now, exploratory study provides the basis of the journal findings. Means we have to explore a particular thing. We are new to that particular field of the area, and we want to get the insight into that area or in that particular field of the research, so that we first start exploring about that. Means we just get insight into that a particular area or particular area, or what we can say particular area of interest or particular area of research. Then next comes the point. Next is now we come to the main topic, that is the research tools. Now we can say that researcher requires many data gathering tools. Many data gathering tools are required when we have to collect the data. When we have defined the problem, we have decided the research design, we have to collect the data. Now there are many gathering tools or techniques are available for data collection. Then apart from that, after doing the data collection, we have to compile the data, we have to process the data, and after processing the data, we go for the analysis of the data. After all the editing processing has been done, we go for the analysis of data. And for that also, the large number of statistical tools and techniques are available. So we can say that the tools may vary in complexity. It may be complex. It can be vary in interpretation, design, and administration. Now, each tool is suitable for the collection of certain type of information. It may mean that we cannot say that each tool is universally applicable. That cannot be there. Each tool has its own applications, and it can be applied only if it is relevantly. It can be applied to a particular study. Then comes the characteristics of a good research tool. Now, the foremost requirement for a good research tool is a validity. Now we can say a tool used for collecting the data must provide information that is not only relevant but free from systematic errors. Means it should be relevant to we should relevantly apply it. For example, if we are taking the difference between we have to decide the difference between the medicine. That is, we have given a new medicine is there. A and B are the two medicines which are available for curing, say, for example, diabetes. So we have to compare those medicines. Now, for that, for comparing the two medicines, we have to apply the t-test. We are applying the t-test. So this is this tool which we have relevantly selected. So that is a valid tool which we are selecting for the comparison. If there are more than two drugs, then we will go for the another tool. Then in that case, the t-test will not be applied. That is the one part. Then next we can say that is not universally, a tool does not possess universal validity. It may be valid in one situation and it may not be valid in the other situation. It will differ from, applications will differ. Then next one is, now we come to the point that now we come to the types of tools and their uses, their applications. Now there's major tools which are used in data gathering, that is data collection, that is questionnaires, interviews, scaling, rating, attitude scales, and then finally we come to the analysis tool, that is for the statistical tools or techniques. Now next first we come to the questionnaire. Now questionnaire is a very commonly used, especially when we have to go for some survey, some questionnaire is being prepared, and that is generally most commonly used in the sciences, social sciences we use, management, commerce, and in that part we generally use this questionnaire. Now, questionnaire, we can say it is a form of an interview which we are taking on a paper. Means we prepare a set of the questions, print it, decide the proper sequence. We start from the demographic profile. We start with the personal information of the respondent. Then step by step, we move to the main part of the research, that what topics related to our research, what questions related to research we have to ask to the interviewee, to the respondent whom we are asking the questions. Now, questions can be structured. It can be non-structured, disguised, and non-disguised. Now, what is the difference between all these? That structured means when we have the pre-decided set of questions. Means we have already decided that what all questions related to the research or our survey we have to ask to the particular respondent or the persons. Then non-structured is that we have not prepared any, the questions are not predetermined. Means we have not prepared the questions previously. We are asking the question as and when required from the respondent. That depending upon the situation or on the spot, we are asking some question, that is non-structured. Then disguised one is that when the disguised question means when the objective of the research is hidden. The actual objective of the research is hidden, and we are just asking the questions from the respondent, but we are hiding the actual purpose behind the research from the respondent. We are not feeling like, we don't we don't consider it as important to disclose our objective to the person. Non-disguised means that when the objective part is made clear to the respondent, that why we are asking this particular question and what is the purpose of collecting such type of data. Now, next part is now we have to next we have to go for the journal principles that may be helpful in framing a questionnaire. Now, questionnaire No doubt, framing a questionnaire is a very I cannot say that it is a simple job. It is a tedious job, and we need an expertise for doing the for framing the questionnaire. Now we have to follow certain principles for that. First is covering letter. Now, whenever we have to post a questionnaire, now questionnaire can be in a maybe typed properly on the A4 size sheets and all that. Or nowadays, because of the technology, we are using the Google Forms. We prepare the Google Forms and we create the link and we circulate that Google Forms among the people, among the population whom we are targeting for our research. So, but along with it, whatever, whether we are sending through post, whether we are going personally visiting the person for collecting the information and asking the questions, or whether we are circulating the Google form, we have to prepare the cover letter. Cover letter means that we have to give the brief introduction about ourselves, that what is the purpose of the research, in how many times the questionnaire has to be returned. Then we have to, along with it, it is if we are sending by post, it is very much important that we send the self-addressed envelope to the respondent. But a self-addressed envelope that should be sent to the respondent so that he may he or she may respond timely and in a time bound manner he respond to the questionnaire. So we should take care of all these things. Then number of questions should be small. Now we should be very limited in our question. We should not be that is not possible that we are asking the 60 questions relating to our research. Then nobody will take the interest. The question should be limited and relevant to the research so that it may create the interest in the respondent and he may easily respond to the questions. Then the questions should be arranged logically. Now, the questions should be arranged logically, maybe from the simple to complex, from specific to general. That is why, first of all, we are asking the personal information. First part of the questionnaire is generally related to the demographic profile, or what we call as the personal information. To give the simple example. Now, for example, if we are asking the question, do you have children? We are asking this question as the first question. Then after that, we are asking, are you married? So this question is not logically arranged. So we should arrange the question logically. Then, for example, if we are asking the person is income, and then after that we are asking, are you employed? So these questions are not logically arranged. We should, as a logic, we should first say that, are you employed? What is your profession? And you are into which profession? We can ask this question. And after that, we can ask that, how much is your income? Then questions should be short and simple to understand. We should use simple language, and moreover, we should not use the high-fi technical words which are beyond the understanding of the common man and the common respondent. So we should use the short and simple to understand. Simple language should be here. And if we are, for example, it is not necessary. No doubt, we will prepare the questionnaire in our own in English language, or we can prepare when we are asking. We have for our sake we have prepared in the English language. But if we are going to some regional area where the people are not able to understand any other language except the regional language, so we can take the help of the other local person who is understanding both the languages, and we can ask the questions from them by translating from English to the regional language. Then ambiguous questions should be avoided. The questions which are not very clear, that should be avoided, from which we are not getting an idea. For example, if I'm saying that, if I'm asking the question, do you smoke? If I'm asking the question, do you smoke? The person will answer yes or no. But from that, I'm not getting the idea that whether the person is an occasional smoker, or whether the person is a chain smoker, or whether he once or a while he smokes. That idea is not being attained from this. So we have to be very clear about the clarity of the question. Then personal questions should be avoided. But personal questions, nobody is willing to answer the personal questions. For example, if I'm asking the businessman that how much income tax he pays or how much sale tax he pays, he will not answer this question openly. So we have to be very careful that we do not target the respondent for the personal question, and we need not be we have no right to pressurize any person whom we are asking the question that he has to answer that question. That forcefully we cannot get the answer from anyone. The next one is Next is instructions to the informants. Now we have to give the clear instruction to the informant that how much, that what type of answers they have to, if they're open-ended or close-ended questions, how they have to answer. If we have to ask, if we have to sorting some opinion from the respondent, we have to be give the clear-cut instructions. Means we have to give the clear-cut instructions to the respondents. Informant means respondents, to clear guidelines has to be there. The next one is question should be capable of objective answer. Means that, for example, if we are asking the question, objective answer means that the people should have the clarity that what type of question we are asking, but what type of question we are asking and how they are to respond that particular question. That should be clearly there. That should be clear in the clear sense. It should be there. For example, if I'm asking the question that what is the, for example, if I'm saying the question that what is the condition of a particular building. Now, everyone will have his own opinion. So, if instead of asking this, that what is the condition of the particular office, particular building, I say that it is in a very desperate condition, or it requires repair, it requires little bit of maintenance, then the people will answer that accordingly. Then yes or no question should also be clearly specified. We have to be to the point that we have to answer the question in yes or no. But all questions cannot be answered in a yes or no. For example, we can answer this question: do you own a car? Do you own a car? It can be answered in a yes or no question. But if we want to ask that what is your opinion, do you know anything about what is your opinion? What is your opinion about the government policy? Now the respondent cannot answer this question is yes or no. For that, he has to give his opinion. So this question cannot be answered in yes or no. Then specific information question and open-end questions means we have to, that what is your open-end question, that like what is your age? How many children do you have? How many cars do you have? These are the open-end questions, and person will quote the figure that this is my age. This I have this is the number of children I am having, or this is the number of cars I am owning. So this is the open-end questions. Now next is questionnaire should look attractive. Now questionnaire should be prepared in a very proper manner. Means it should be properly typed in A4 size sheet, and it should be properly typed, proper spacing should be there, and it should be neat and clean so that the people are interested to answer the questions. Then questions requiring the calculation should be avoided. Now in this case, the questions regarding the calculation means if we are saying generally what we do that we get the income, monthly income is generally given. We all of us we get the monthly income. But when the calculations regarding the yearly income come, we sometimes become confused. Yearly income. So we should try to keep the calculations as simple. Then the questions related to the percentages, ratios, that should all be avoided. Then next comes the pre-testing the questionnaire. Now pre-testing the questionnaire means that we have to check the reliability of the questionnaire which we have circulated, and it can be done with the help of the pilot survey. Means, for example, if we have taken the sample of say 600, and we can take the for the pilot survey we are taking the 50% as a sample what we will do in the pilot survey, we will circulate the questionnaire among the 50 respondents, and then we will try to check the reliability. Reliability can be checked with the help of number of tools that I'm not going to discuss here now, but that can be checked by number of methods. Reliability can be checked by number of methods. Means, in other words, we can say that pilot survey is a replica of the main survey. Means replica means it is a rehearsal of the main survey. Then next, last but not the least, there comes the cross-check. Now, cross-check means that we have to, within the questionnaire, when we are asking the questions to the respondents, within the questionnaire, we put the same question in some other way around. Means we have changed the wordings. We are asking the same question in other way around. Just hold on for a minute. In other way around means we just want to cross check that whether the person is answering the question properly, whether he's not giving the fake information, or he's trying to avoid the information. So we put the same question in other words, at some other place, so that we can cross verify that the person is asking the question, is answering the question properly. I hope, is it clear up till here? Then next comes the, I hope, is it clear? Then next one is, the next tool is interview. Now interview, we can say, now, as you all know, interview means, generally when the word interview comes into our mind, when we see this word interview, we generally mean it when the people, when the two people or group of people are sitting together and asking the questions. But one group is there who is asking the question from the other groups. That is interview. Now, interviews can be of number of types. Like, for example, it is a direct personal interview when we are into the direct face-to-face contact with a particular person. That is the direct personal interview. Now, it means that generally when we go for the job interviews, that is a direct personal interview. Then next is when we generally what about the TV shows we show, there's interviews are conducted, talk sessions are there. These are the only the direct personal interviews. Now, direct personal interview can be a structured interview. Now, structured interview means that the questions are pre-decided. It is already decided that what all questions to be asked from a particular person, and particular person means all the questions are pre-decided on a particular topic. And generally what we see in the discussions and the TV shows, that whatever the interviews are conducted, that is generally structured ones. The next one is unstructured interviews. Now, unstructured means that when the sequence, when the questions is not pre-decided. I have visited a particular place and I suddenly I saw some celebrity or some any minister, and I started asking him questions. So that is an unstructured interview. I'm asking him the question, but I'm not prepared for that, and even the person who's answering the question is not prepared for that. Then next one is focused interview. Now, when we come to the focus interview, means we are focusing on a particular topic, and we give the freedom to the respondent to answer to speak on that particular topic in his own way. Means he has given the freedom to explore the reasons and motive, to speak openly on the particular freedom, and even the sequence of the questions is not decided in this focus interview. Then next one is clinical interview. Now, clinical interview, we can say it is concerned with the broad underlying feelings or motives, or with the course of individual life experiences. Now, we can say the method of getting information is generally left to the interviewer discretion. But how the interviewer is to collect the information, how the researcher is to collect the information, that is solely left to his discretion. It means there is no hard and fast rules for this, no any strict rigid rules for this, I can say. But he has to get the information, and it is up to him that how he can get the information. The next is non-directive interview. Now, non-directive interview means that in this there is no directions, no guidelines are given, and the author, or we can say, researcher is given the freedom to talk about the particular topic without a bare minimum of direct questioning. There is no direct questioning. He is given the topic and he is allowed to speak. The informant is or respondent is allowed to speak for a particular period of time on that particular topic. Then next comes the indirect oral interview. Now, the indirect oral interview means that when we are not able to get the particular information directly from the person whom we are to get the information, so in order to get that type of information, we contact the third party for getting the information. And generally it is done when the information, generally it is in the case of that information which is of the complex nature, and the person who is related to that information is not willing to answer. And it is generally used in the it is generally possible in the when the inquiries related to the addiction, related to drugs, alcohol. Then the person who is directly under the under the drugs will not answer the question. His parents, his relatives, his friends, or his neighbors can be contacted for getting the required information. Means we are not directly connecting the respondent from whom we have to collect the information. We are contacting the third person for collecting the information. Then next comes the prerequisites and basic tenets of interview. The interviewing is also requires a skill. It is a skilled job, and we have to be interviewers should be carefully selected, trained, and briefed. Means they should be expertise in their field. They should know how to converse with the people, how to try to get the maximum information from them. First of all, when we are going to get the information, when we are going for an interview, we are going to interview somebody, we will generally, when we go for the job interviews, we generally ask the person that introduce yourself. Means we are giving him a space so that we are trying to create the friendly atmosphere so that he becomes well versed with the surrounding, well with the person who is interviewing the person. Then only he will be feel comfortable to answer the further questions. So that is very important, that the interviewer should be carefully selected, trained, and briefed. Interviewer should be honest, sincere, and hardworking, impartial, and must possess the technical competence and necessary practical experience. And occasional field checks should be made on the interviews. For example, if I am a researcher, I have not gone for the for interviewing the people. I have appointed further interviews for this purpose. So I have to visit the field to check that whether the interviewer which I have appointed is asking the questions in a proper manner, whether he is able to collect the information in a proper manner, as per relevancy of the objective, as per relevancy of the purpose of the study. So that is very important. So every effort should be made to create friendly atmosphere and trust and confidence so that respondents may feel at ease while talking to and discussing with the interviewer. That I have already discussed, that friendly atmosphere should be there. We should not forcefully cannot ask anybody that you have to give that information. Like this, nobody will give the information. We first have to create the environment of the rapid, friendly environment should be there, and then only they will be able to respond. The next one is the interviewer must ask questions properly. Must ask questions properly and intelligently, and must record the responses accurately and completely. But the question should be properly and intelligently asked. Logically, there should be a logic behind. The interviewer must be friendly, courteous, conversational, and unbiased. Now, we cannot show favoritism to particular respondent and unfavoritism to particular respondent, because I as a researcher have to treat all the respondents equally. The next is the interviewer should not show surprise or disapproval of a respondent's answer. Means if he's not able to answer, if he's able to answer the things correctly, then I'm saying that you do not know about this thing, you don't have no information, you are ignorant about this. We should not harass any particular person or insult any particular person for not answering the question properly. So we should but he must keep the direction of interview, but we should keep the direction of interview in our own hand as a researcher, as an interviewer. The next one is, so this was the second part, that is interview, questionnaire and interview. The next tool is scaling. Now, scaling is also very commonly used in research, and research tools, scaling are the measuring devices. Now, what we see that there are only 4 types of scales which are available. That is nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Now, if we talk about the nominal scale, now nominal scale means it is widely used in the social service, that when the numbers serve as labels to identify the persons, or we can say objects or events. Now, in this case, I can say that, for example, if the players are playing in the field, football field, they're playing, you can see on the t-shirt the number is written. Means that we are able to identify the football player, on the basis of the number that is written on his t-shirt. Then in the same way, in the classroom, we have given the roll numbers to the students. Now the roll numbers given to the students is nothing but the nominal scale. In the same way, we can take another example, that if we are talking about the nominal scale, if we are talking about, we can say that the nominal scale, it can be just a name that has been given to us, or it can be, we can say it can be a religion, it can be a brand, it can be business type, that whether we are running the joint venture, or whether we have sole proprietorship, or whether we are into partnership. gender, that is male and female, what is her religion. On the basis of that, if we give the label the person, that is nominal scale. Then next is ordinal. Now ordinal scale is nothing but the ranking scale. Means we are to ordinal scale means that we the quality describe a quality of characteristic of data. For example, if we are talking about the academic grades, the academic grades are in the that is A, B, and C. Now we give the students the ranking on the basis of their grades. The clothing size can be small, it can be medium, large, extra large. So this is the rating. Now attitude of person, if we are talking about the attitude of a person to a particular, for example, attitude of person towards the attitude of the students towards the e-learning. So we can say they can, some can strongly agree, other can agree, other may disagree, and others can strongly disagree. So this is the ordinal scale. Then next one is interval scale. Now interval scale is generally a best example of interval scale can be taken as a temperature. Now we know that temperatures are generally measured in centigrade and Fahrenheit scales. Now if we say that 100 degrees centigrade, now listen carefully, that 100 degrees centigrade is higher than 80 degrees centigrade. Means there is a difference. That is interval. Now the interval, the difference between the two is of 20 degrees centigrade. So we can say that, or we can interpret it like other way around also, that 80 degrees centigrade is lower than that of the 100 degrees centigrade. Means there is a difference of 20 degrees centigrade. So that is interval when we talk about the difference. Now ratio scale. Now when we talk about the ratios, when we talk about the distance, when we, for example, if we, for example, as being teaching, I will be talking about the student-teacher ratio. The student-teacher ratio is one teacher for the 20 students. Then 1:20 is the ratio. So that is the ratio we are talking about. And generally, it is ratio scale is generally used in the dimensions such as height, weight, distance, money value, and all that part. The ratio scale is used. That is also very commonly used. For example, in the mathematics, when we did in the schools, there was the ratio and proportions numericals we used to do. That was the nothing, but this ratio scale is being applied. Then next one is rating scale. Now, I hope is it clear up till here? Okay. Then next one is, next we will be talking about the rating scale. Now, rating scale, now we can say that rating is a term implied to the expression of opinion or judgment regarding some situations. When we have to give some judgment, we have to give some opinion, some situation, object, person, etc. Now, these opinions are usually expressed on a scale or by categories. We can say it can be either quantitatively or qualitatively. I hope all of you are well versed with the terms qualitative and the quantitative. Quantitative means that when numerical expressions are being given, and qualitative when there are no numerical expressions and we are just talking about the attributes, that is qualitative. Now the classification maybe can be done in the set of 5 or 7 categories, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for example, you are talking about the 5 category scale, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I am talking about now the weightage, if I have categorized it as superior, above average, average, fair, above average, average, fair, inferior. So this is the category which I have been giving. Similarly, excellent, good, average, below average, or poor. Then the next one is always, frequently, occasionally, rarely, never. Now in this case, for example, I take the this second one, that excellent, good, average, below average, and poor. Now the highest rating will be given to the highest weightage. I mean rating means weightage. Highest weightage will be given to the excellent. For example, 5 will be given to the excellent. Then 4 will be given to the good. And likewise, we will give the weightage. So maximum weightage will be given to the positive aspect of a particular thing, particular perception, positive perception, where the positive aspect है, then we will give that the particular, we give them the more weightage. More weightage will be given to them. The next one is, now there are the 2 characteristics of a rating scale. The first is description of characteristics to be rated. That what are the attributes we are to rate that has to be given weightage. Some methods by which the quality, frequency, or importance of each item to be rated may be given. What methods are we are being following for rating? There are different type of methods are also available. Now we will be talking about the type of rating scale. The following are the main types of the rating scales. First is descriptive rating. Now, descriptive means we are just describing. Means we are describing the particular characteristic in a word or phrase. For example, that has this pupil initiative, and these people initiative. Now, this is a question. Now we can say they shows marked originality. We are just describing. It means that people, the students are showing the originality. They are willing to take the initiative. They are quite inventive. On the whole, unenterprising, very dependent on the others. The next one is type of rating scales. Now, that was first one, that descriptive rating. We are just describing them. Then numerical scales is when we are talking about we are a number assigned to each trait. That if it is 7-point scale, the number 7 represents the maximum amount of that trait in the individuals. 4 represents the average amount. The next one is percentage of group scale. When we talk about in the percentage terms of the group that possess the trait on which the individual is rated. For example, for rating the self-confidence of individual. Self-confidence of the individual, the rater may check one of the following. That, for example, I'm saying falls in the top 1%, falls in the top 10%, but not in the top 1%, means we are taking the help of percentage to mark the particular variable. That we can say that that the richest people falls in the top 1%, poor people fall in the maximum criteria that falls in the 10%, like this way. This is just an example. So when we use percentage, that is the percentage group scale. Then next comes the attitude scale. That is the second part after rating scale. Now, attitude means that we have been attitude scales has been designed to measure attitudes of an individual. For example, attitude of student towards the e-learning or online learning, attitude of the youth towards the particular fashion trends, attitude towards it can be we can take attitude of the consumer towards the new products in the market. So this type of things, these type of we can attitude can more or less can be termed as a what we can say opinion, or we can say it is a perception. Now, there are different types of attitude scales, but most commonly used one are method of equal appearing intervals, that is Charleston scales, or method of summated ratings, that is commonly known as Likert scale. Now we will discussing it in the detail. That is a method of equal appearing intervals, was originally developed by Thurston and Chev in 1929. And we can say the attitude score of an individual obtained by this method has an absolute interpretation. Means whatever the score or whatever the score we obtain by this, there's an absolute there's an interpretation in absolute terms of the psychological contourment of scale. Psychological contourment means that the variability of the psychology from the one extreme to the other extreme, means that behavior is a normal one to the abnormal one. That is generally it can measure the things in absolute terms. Now, for example, if this score falls in the middle range of the psychological continuum, the attitude of the individual we can describe it as a neutral. The person is neutral. And if it falls favorable end of the continuum, we can describe it as a favorable. And if it falls towards the unfavorable end, it can be described as the unfavorable one. Then we come to in the method of that was the simple example we have given of the equal appearing intervals. The next comes the method of summated ratings. Now, method of summated ratings means that was developed by Likert. Likert is the name of the research statistician who developed this scale. And in this, the arbitrary weights, that is 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 are given. That 5 for strongly agree, 4 for agree, 3 for undecided, 2 for disagree, and 1 for strongly agree. Means the positive aspect, that is strongly agree, is being given in the higher grade. Generally, the researchers make the mistake in giving this type of rating. Generally, in the social sciences, when we make the statements in the questionnaire, this type of scale is being used. And what the student generally what they generally by mistake, what they do, they give this strongly disagree as a weightage 5, which is entirely wrong thing to be done. They generally do. What we have to do is to give the strongly agree as the maximum weightage. That strongly agree should be given the weightage 5, agree should be given weightage 4, and what we say weightage 4, agree should be given given weightage 4, undecided that is 3, disagree 2, and strongly disagree as 1. So this part has to be taken care of. That we have to give the weightage in proper, otherwise our responses will not be a correct one, and naturally our result will not be a proper one. Then next, this was all about the data gathering tools and what we have to do in the data. Now we come to the second part, that is I hope that there is no question, query, any query related to the previous part which we have discussed till now. Any query related to the previous part? Now, okay. Now, next we move to the next part, that is the prominent statistical tools and techniques. Now, we can say, as you know, that there are different types of statistical tools and techniques which are available for the analysis purposes. Now, most commonly used are the parametric test and the non-parametric test. I hope those who are into the research or those who are doing the PhD are well versed with this parametric and non-parametric test. The parametric test is that when there is a assumption of normality is there, we assume that a population is normally distributed. Whereas in the non-parametric test are the distribution pre-test, in which we do not make any assumption regarding the normality of the population, and they are the assumption pre-test. Now, if we talk about the parametric test, I will not may not be able to discuss the things in detail because that is not the actual part of this. Because, for example, the parametric tests are things like Z-test. These are the common names which we mostly hear. Those who have read the research methodology, those who have into the research, they know about these tests. That is Z-test, T-test, ANOVA, one-way and can be N-way, MANOVA, that is one-way and N-way, ANACOVA, MANACOVA. These are the parametric tests. The non-parametric test can be chi-square test, Wilcoxon-Simbright test, Mann-Whitney, Driscoll values, Fredman test, Moore's median test, Spearman correlation test. Then there is multivariate techniques and the bivariate techniques. Bivariate means when the two variables are being involved. Multivariate means that when the number of variables are being involved, one is dependent, one is independent, another all are dependent variables. So that is multivariate techniques that have to be applied. In that case, when we talk about the bivariate technique, we talk simple bivariate pairs correlation, simple bivariate linear regression, binomial logistic regression is there. Then in case of multivariate techniques, we have the multiple Pearson correlation, multiple linear correlation is there, regression is there, multinomial. I mean, these are the advanced techniques which are being available. Nowadays, the structural equation modeling is very commonly used, and various softwares are also available for this type of technique to be applied, the structural equation modeling. Then next we come to the part that is, now we may talk that, for example, there is a case of all the independent variables and whether what type of test will be applied. Now, generally, I would like to discuss about the applications of the various parametric and non-parametric tests which are available. For example, case for the independent variable. That means that there is one variable that is categorical variable, and then the two categories. And another condition is that there is two different populations, and the purpose behind is to extract the significant difference between the population. Now here the two variables are there. I have already discussed when there are the two variables and comparison has to be done, or we can have to find the significant difference. In that case, independent sample t-test is being applied. Independent sample t-test is being applied only, it will be applied only if the assumption of the normality is fulfilled. Assumption of normality is fulfilled, whereas in case of the non-parametric test, it will be applied if the assumption of normality is violated. That I have already discussed the difference. In parametric test, there is assumption of normalities to be there. Whereas non-parametric, no assumption is required like this. They are the assumption pre-test. So in that case, non-whitening U-test will be applied. Then to take the another case, that if there is one variable that is categorical, two categories are there, one population, purpose extract, significant difference within the population. In that case, we will be using the paired t-test, and then we can have to use the Wilcoxon single rank test. Single rank test has to be applied. I hope it is clear. Then in the same way, we can discuss other parts also. That is in case we have one variable category, but here there more than two categories are available. Purpose here is also the same, that we have to extract the significant difference between the populations. In that case, if it is a parametric, then we will apply one way ANOVA. And if it is non-parametric, then critical value test will be applied. Then multiple regression, that is multiple variables are there, that two or more variables are there, two or more than two different populations are there. We have to extract significant difference between the populations, within the populations. In that case, NV ANOVA will be applied, and in non-parametric test, Fredman mood median test will be applied. Then next is we have to, if we just want to check the relationship between the variables, then the simple technique, that is correlation. Relational weight technique has to be applied. That is in the, if it is parametric, then Pearson correlation, and if it is non-parametric, then Spearman correlation technique will be there. Then the next one is appropriate statistical techniques in research. That, for example, if we want to check now, I'm just giving the example and just explaining that what type of technique is to be applied. That is to check the influence of advertisement on sale. We have to check the influence of advertisement on sale. Now here the dependent variable is sale and metric is single. Metric is single and dependent variable. Now we can say independent variable in this case is advertisement expenditure. So here metric is also single. So by bifurcating this, we come to know that bivariate linear regression is being applied. Bivariate, two types, because there are two variables. To take another example, that when to check the influence of export, import, tax collection, and tourism collection on GDP. In this case, GDP is a dependent variable, and independent variable is export, import, tax collection, and tourism collection. Here it is multiple, so we will be applying the multiple linear regression will be there. Similarly, to take another example, the chances of the purchase of the product on the basis of the awareness level, attitude, and loyal are changed. If chances of the purchase of the product, if awareness level, attitude, and loyalty are changed. Now here the categorical is single, but it is two level. Metric is single and multiple. So here we will apply binomial logistic regression probability that will be applied. Now next example, the chances of moonlighting, that is high, low, and medium. Moonlighting means that people is doing some other part-time job along with their regular job. That is moonlighting. So high, low, and medium among employees who have objectives of high salary, more working hours, working experience. So categorical, single, multiple level. So here metric, single, multiple, we can say, and multi-nominal logistic regression will be applied in this case. So simply, these are the different type of applications which I'm discussing right now. For example, if the type of employees got selected in an organization who have different scores in entrance, group discussion, and also having different qualifications. Now here it is a categorical single, two level, multiple level, and metric, independent variable and metric is single and multiple. So here the linear discriminant analysis will be applied. And next one is that if we are talking about the association between coffee drinking and gender, so that is again categorical, that's single and multiple, and categorical, single, and multiple. Here chi-square test or cross-step technique has to be applied. But to make it more clear, when we talk about the association between the variables, then we apply the chi-square test in that case. Then comes the case, do the managers that are males have higher average salary than the managers who are female? Now here we are doing the comparison. So here, naturally, when we are doing comparison between the two variables, we have to apply the independent sample t-test. The next one is examine the improvement in employees' average performance after giving them training. Now here also we are talking about the employees average performance. So here it is the two metrics is single or multiple, categorical is single, two level category of same population. So here paired sample t-test will be there. Is there any significant difference in crop yield if farmers use fertilizers A or B or C? Now here we are talking about the effectiveness of the fertilizer A, B, and C on the crop yield. So here more than three variables are available. So we will be talking about the one ANOVA. T-test cannot be applied here in this case because the way the comparison is to be done among the three things. So we will be applying one-way ANOVA. Now next one is there any significant difference in crop yield if farmer use fertilizers A, B or C and season is summer, winter or spring? Now here along with fertilizer, we are talking about the season as well. Season, different types of seasons. So here we will applying the N-way ANOVA. It can be two-way ANOVA. N-way ANOVA has to be applied. It can be depending on the number of variables that are available. The next one is check the influence of gender on sale of A product and B product of a company. Gender influence on the sale. So here we will be applying the metric. We have multiple, categorical is single. So one way Manitoba is applied. That is advanced extension of the ANOVA itself. That is MANOVA. Then next is check the influence of gender and the marital status on sale of A product and B product. Here also we are talking about the marital status as well, gender as well as marital status. So and MANOVA will be there. Check influence of gender and age. Now here we are talking about the gender and age on the sale of A product. Now here the product is one. So we will be applying the variables no doubt are two, that is gender and sale, but the product on which the influence is to be seen is one, single. So ANOVA is to be applied. Check influence of gender and age on sale of A and B product. So that in this case, the MANOVA will be applied. Then next one is, if we talk about the, for example, if we are talking about the factor of service quality model, these are the variables which are available for service quality. That is tangibility, responsiveness, empathy, assurance, reliability, including customer satisfaction through mediating role of customer loyalty. Now here the customer loyalty is a latent variable. But hidden, latent means hidden. Independent variables, these are the latent variables. So in this case, we can apply the what we call the structural equation modeling with the help of a software. So this is all for the today's session. Any query, any question regarding this, what we have discussed today? Thank you.